Hello, welcome to another Seiler Instrument Quick Tip. I'm Holly Urbain from Seiler Instrument, Wisconsin. This is more tips and tricks to help you migrate to version 2021 of the Trimble Access Roading software. We recently did a video with the general survey stakeout of XMLs and RXLs. This one's going to focus more on tips for when you're doing roading. When you are in the general survey module, you can still see a road. Using your layer manager, that's this icon that looks like a stack of papers, you can turn on an alignment just by checking it, or activating it by putting a box around it. I clicked on it a second time. Some of the tips that I have for using a road when you are in the roads module: if you tap on the world, if you have the roads module installed on your data collector, you'll just be able to tap and you'll see that icon change to the roads module. If your road is at a skewed angle, you can hit the 3D orbit and straighten your alignment up so it makes it easier to work with. I can just rotate this road so it's north-south, even though it is kind of an east-west road. Some of the tools that I like to use is the 3D. When we're in 3D, if I roll down and look at this alignment, you'd think we were in Illinois. It's pretty darn flat. I'm from Illinois, so I can say that. But if we hit the settings icon, that's these three dots down here in the left-hand corner. Under settings, there's a vertical exaggeration. So if I set that, say, at 5, if I go back to the plan view and I pan again, I can go to the 3D mode. And now when I look at this road, you can see it exaggerated that 12-foot pavement and the O2 slope. So it really does look more like a road. Another thing that I find handy when you're working with roads, especially using the 3D, now if you can see there's kind of a gray surface down there. I zoom out some more. There's a ground plane, but right now it's down at elevation 0, and we're up here at elevation 800 feet above sea level. So again, if you hit the settings, scroll down a little bit, there is a ground plane. So if you set that just below your working area, now as you're zooming, it helps you visualize where the flat horizontal plane is. Another tool that I find handy when you're working with this under the settings is whether a surface is shaded, whether the road is shaded, and then even though it's under the IFC section, this transparency does affect the road surface. So if I have the road shaded and I set it to say 50% transparent, when I select this alignment, you can see the shading for the road is only shading at 50%. One other thing in the settings that I like to turn off: display text within a DXF. If you are bringing up a background image like a DXF CAD file for side roads, edges, if you turn off this, it's going to help with the processing power of the data collector. So we did 3D shading, vertical exaggeration, the ground plane, and then even though it's in the IFC section, that transparency setting does affect the roads module. So with a RXL alignment active in the layer manager and selected, we can hit Stakeout. It always asks us what type of receiver, where we're measuring to, and what interval we want to stake. The previous video, we talked a lot about how this interval affects your stakeout. Definitely want to review the options. These are the same options that we saw when we were in general survey. You hit next, and with the road stakeout, let me zoom in a little bit, we're going to start to use something called strings. In this example, you can see we have 5 strings building this road. Just like when we do topo to collect data, same way goes to stake it out. You can see we have these 5 primary strings like ditches, edge of asphalt, center lines. You can also upload what are called additional strings, something like a special ditch. And using station and offsets, you can upload additional points, but that's way too much for a quick tip. You're going to select one of these strings and then hit stakeout. There's actually 8 ways to stake out a road. You have to the road. So wherever you are, it just tells you that what station and offset you're on, and you have to a string. There is a setting in the software where the construction offsets stay set, and I'm going to warn you, be careful, check it out, look for this green section. I was using this yesterday and the construction offsets carried over. So over on the map screen, I'm going to click and hold, define the construction offset, and set it back to 0. That way you're not carrying over a construction offset from an old project. There are 8 methods that you can use when you're staking a road. To the road, to the string, and then lots of things associated with strings. If we pick to the road and we hit start, it's basically going to tell us There we are. So it's telling us that we're at station 1577, offset 8 feet, and we have a fill to the road of 3.588. You have control over what you see over here on the feedback side of the screen. If you click and hold, there's 24 things that you can turn on and off. If I want to do a vertical cut to a DTM, and then under the options, I can turn off that graphical display. If I do the layer command and I activate an actual surface, you can see I'm getting the cut fill to the road. Just activating that surface under the layers doesn't attach it to the road. Under the options key, we need to scroll down and actually pick that DTM. So if I pick that XML surface, you can see I'm getting a cut fill to the road and I'm getting a cut fill to the surface. If I hit escape, you can see I can change the method. If I pick to a string, again, watch for those construction offsets, they get me every time. Click and hold, define the construction offsets and reset them to 0. And when we pick a string, again, you have the choice here to select the strings. I can select it right here from the map. You can see that's the edge of asphalt, that's the center line, that's the right edge of asphalt. Or I can go down here and select it from the list. If I tap the string soft key, you can see I have the left ditch, right edge of asphalt, center line. If we pick any of them, we'll say we're going to pick let's pick the right edge of asphalt. I can hit start, and it's going to give me my current station and offset, and then to the right, let me zoom in a little bit. It's showing me my current link to the string closest to me. You can see when you have the road, you got to the center line, to any of the strings running up and down the road. You can do skews, additional points, and additional strings. Another handy tool within Trimble Access is you do have a cross-section view. So if you're in an area where there is a roadway and you're within the roadway limits, if you tap this cross-section view, it's going to show where your road is. It's going to show where you are relative to the road, and we can start staking the road. That concludes the quick tip on the roads module in version 2021 of Trimble Access. Thanks for watching.